to admit the Buddha's teaching and to realize that this life is short, and how is it best to live our life. So of course the best way to live one's life is according to the Buddha's teaching as much as possible. So of course there must be a level of virtue. One must be grounded in virtue as a practice. That's a practice which lay people can perfect, the 5 precepts. And the 5 precepts have the restraining aspect, the samvara, but also the positive aspect of like giving and loving kindness, etc. So definitely one's lay life must become grounded in virtue. And then other good qualities of loving kindness and generosity. These are things which lay people, they have access to money or have access to food, so they have access to be able to be generous. Because they live in society, live with family members and neighbors, work people, they also need to develop loving kindness. It should become a basic practice for lay people. But what I want to emphasize, having made a commitment as a practicing lay person to try to use this life in the best possible way, I think the best possible way is to learn theoretically about the 4 Noble Truths, the basics of the Buddha's teaching, and then, little by little, to apply that knowledge as a meditation. So this first Noble Truth, we're talking here about, the nature of birth, old age, sickness and death, how samsara, we have had so many countless births beforehand, and it's because of craven ignorance we carry on this birth and later according to the force of our karma. So we see the need to actually develop wholesome karma and to learn how to abandon wrong ways of acting. So we could create this wealth of good karma that will produce happiness in the present and also future lives. But the important thing is actually also the wisdom aspect, is to understand what are the 4 Noble Truths, and especially what is the first Noble Truth. The 5 khandhas, this body and mind, or the 6 internal external sense bases, or the 18 elements through the 6 doorways. What is the world? What is this world which I take to be myself? It's actually only this body and mind. That's where we have to develop wisdom. So I think all lay people, even if they have a busy life, they can make time. They can make time in the early morning. They can get up earlier, maybe at least 1 hour earlier than normal, and devote themselves to meditation, to anapanasati especially, or even a meditation on the 4 Noble Truths. Our practice starts, our knowledge of the Buddha's teaching, our practice starts from knowledge of the 4 Noble Truths, and it ends with realization of the 4 Noble Truths. This is an area which I personally think is extremely important for monks and for lay people. Develop your knowledge of the 4 Noble Truths. Initially, superficially. If you can understand the 4 Noble Truths superficially, intellectually, then you should understand the need to actually deepen your knowledge. So it's not just intellectual. Little by little, by consideration of the first Noble Truth, the nature of the 5 khandhas, the 6 internal and external doorways, or ayatanas, basis of contact, then to understand what is this world which I take to be I or me. That's the most important thing you can do as a practitioner, whether you're a lay person or as a Buddhist monk. If you're a lay person, make at least 1 hour free time in the morning before going to work. The first time that you get up in the morning, 1 hour's meditation, anapanasati, or this contemplation of the 4 Noble Truths. That should be a daily practice, a daily commitment. And I know lay people who do that, and their life becomes completely transformed. They're practicing lay people. They have this incredible faith in the Dhamma, and also Also the understanding that comes through this. I know lay people who do 3 hours practice before they go to work. It's possible, this commitment. You have to really see what's important in this life. Do you want to die ignorant? Or do you want to die with knowledge? Do you want to die without these skillful mental qualities? Learning to live with a mind that is happy and content and full of kindness? Or do you want to live with a mind that's very reactionary, irritable, hateful, opinionated? It's one's own choice, whether one's a lay person or whether one's a monk. We have to use what time we have left in this life to transform our mind. Bhavana means to develop oneself, become a true human being, and even possible to transcend being a human, to actually gain intelligent, wise understanding of the Four Noble Truths. That's the Buddha's teaching. As a lay person, if one cannot attain to Sotapanna, which I think is still possible for lay people also, if you cannot attain to Sotapanna, at least have a good knowledge of the Four Noble Truths. Because in future, when you're traveling on samsara, what will happen if you meet a Buddha in the future, or a Savaka of the Buddha in the future? If you have intellectually a good knowledge of the Buddha's teaching, what the Buddha actually wakens up to, what he teaches, that is the important thing that will actually help for one to find faith, or meet up with the Buddha in the future, or meet up with one of his disciples, is to actually have knowledge of the Buddha's teaching, so you recognize it in the future. You recognize this is the teaching to full freedom, to end samsara, into this process of life and death. This process of life and death, it's not worth it. It's just going on time and time again, without noble beginning. And let's find a way to bring it to an end. It's just suffering. It's a process of this vijnana sota, the stream of consciousness, conditioned by one's previous actions, karma, because one created karma because of one's craving ignorance, which creates this life, this continuous process of knowing, and that is suffering, because the knowing is completely empty. We make something out of the knowing of this object or that object. Because of our ignorance and attachment, we identify with the tricks of the mind. This process of condition arising, passing away, is totally empty. It's the meaning of the First Noble Truth. So I advise anyone to develop, first of all, intellectually good understanding of the Four Noble Truths, and why not use it as meditation practice? One can sit in meditation for cross-legged for 1 hour, considering the Four Noble Truths. You do that every day. Okay, after 1 week you've got a little bit more knowledge, not much maybe, gradually becoming more intellectually clear maybe, the Four Noble Truths. You do that day by day, week by week, month by month. After 1 year, 5 years, now you're starting to understand more about the nature of the Rupa Khanda, or feeling Khanda, or Vijnana Khanda, consciousness Khanda. And you keep on doing it. After 10 years, your intellectual knowledge of the Four Noble Truths is now coming down into more fundamental knowledge, knowledge that one personally understands. It's no longer just something in the head. Now it's actually becoming personal knowledge, and that would take you to Sotapanna. Penetration, understanding Four Noble Truths. To me, it's the most important meditation of all.
To get updated with valuable Dhamma knowledge, subscribe and share the Samma TV channel today.